Gabon has had a coup. There's been another coup in Africa. This is not unexpected. Let me just put it that way. It is not unexpected that Gabon has had a coup. It's not unexpected that Africa has had another coup. I think the thing now that we have is times are really changing in Africa now, because what I think happened is that there are a lot of countries out there that have taken a step back and looked at what happened in Niger, looked at what happened in Guinea, Mali, Burkina Faso, and said to themselves, you know what, guys, there might be a play here. You know what, guys, this might be an opportunity for us to go and do something, because I don't believe this is going to be the last coup in Africa soon. I don't even think it's going to take a lot of time. I think that we now are having a wave, because what is happening is that many African countries, we've been tired of the vestiges and the legacy of colonialism on Africa. Now, it's one thing to be exploited, but the thing that adds insult to injury is the rhetoric that is put out there, propaganda, which says that Africans are lazy, it's their fault, they're corrupt. The reason why Africa is in the position they're in is because of them. It's got nothing to do with all these amazing developed countries. If only they could be more like France, more like the UK, more like America, more like any of these European countries. That sort of rhetoric adds insult to injury when you actually know what is going on. Because when we look at Gabon, it's a very, very simple situation. So for those people who do not know, Gabon had a coup, military coup, after the election results were put out, and it said that the current president, or the former president, because now he's gone, Ali Bongo, won the election. Now, guys are like, no. This is fraud, election fraud. We're not having it. Now, what you need to understand is that Ali Bongo took over from his father, Omar Bongo, who was the president before him. And the Bongo family have ruled Gabon for 55 years, over 55 years. Guys, that is a ridiculous amount of time. That's a ridiculous amount of time for an alleged democratic situation. Because these people, if it was just a dictatorship, and you just accepted that you're doing a dictatorship, I wouldn't even be saying this. I'd be like, oh, it's a dictatorship. So yes, the person is ruling till he dies. That's just what it is. When you're masquerading as a democracy, yet somehow the same family has been in power for 55 years. That's way longer than I've been alive. Most people, a lot of people, haven't known any other family in power in Gabon. You'd have to be in your 60s to be aware of a different president. That is ridiculous. So when you see that and you understand that dynamic, it already makes you take a step back and say, okay, look, you know what? What's going on here? There's something fishy going on here. Now, let us take this a stage further. We've always talked about the exploitation of resources from Africa, and Gabon is a major oil producer. It's one of the biggest oil producers in Africa. Now, Gabon is a very, very tiny country. Tiny. It's only got just over 2 million people. Now, to put that in perspective, if I say 2 million people or whatever, there are people who listen to that and say, oh, wow, that's a lot of people, 2 million. Let me put this in perspective for you. New York City has, I think, about 30 million people in New York City. Lagos in Nigeria has about 20 or so million people in Lagos State. Nigeria is over 200 million people. And that's just by official census. It could actually be 300 million for all you know. But it's at least 200 million plus in Nigeria. Think about that. Most major cities are like 10 times bigger in terms of population than Gabon. Dubai has 3.5 million people-ish. Gabon is a major oil producer. By rights, every single citizen of Gabon should be a millionaire. It is such a tiny country. Gabon should be the Dubai of Africa, but it isn't. Most of the people in Gabon are living below the poverty line. They're in poverty. Now, France should be ashamed of themselves. They're not going to be ashamed of themselves, but they should be. The fact that you've been supporting a government and sitting and doing business with a government that is a major oil producer and only has 2 million people in it, in that country, and most of those people are living in poverty, and you keep doing business with that government, you're a very, very naughty country. France. Very, very naughty country. Should be ashamed of yourself. As this is happening, this coup, France should just go into the corner, keep quiet. Shh, just keep quiet. Shh, don't say anything. And hope that nobody comes and looks at you for what you've stood by and watched happen. You should go into the corner and keep your mouth shut. Because for you to have been doing business with a country for the last, since the alleged independence in 1960, you've been doing business with these guys to the tune of billions, if not trillions of dollars in resources. And the people of Gabon are poor. Gabon should be like, the streets should be paved in gold. 2 million people, that's it. There's hardly anybody there. And you're a major oil producer and that's the only number of people you have there? Come on, guys. So for me, it's like when you say a coup, the coup, it's like it's a long time coming. It's surprising it took this long for it to happen. I admire the people of Gabon that they had the patience and they had the will to stand by and just allow this sort of stuff to happen. Because Gabon's history is like, I think the Portuguese first discovered Gabon and they called it Gabao or something, which means cloak, I believe. Like it was a Portuguese person and then after that, I think all these other different countries came in and then France then took over at a point. And I think it was the Berlin Conference that happened where France then were designated, officially recognized as the owners of Gabon. And for those who don't know, you can watch my, Origin of Nigeria video if you want to know about the Berlin Conference. It was like a party that European powers had in the late 1800s where Otto von Bismarck, the guy of Germany, threw a party basically where guys went to go and chill for a weekend to divide Africa up and share it amongst themselves. And people have the audacity to tell us that we should not do business with Russia. Russia did not take part in the Berlin Conference. Russia were a major force in the 1800s. They had stuff going on. Now, Russia was so busy focusing on their own issues. They did not think that in order to solve our issues, we're going to go and take from Africa. Russia didn't do that. The Europeans did. France and all these other countries, when they had issues, their first thought was to go and take from Africa to solve their problems. Russia didn't do that. Russia focused internally on like, how do we fix what we've got going on here before we start thinking about going somewhere else? Russia. So now that Putin and Russia want to come and do business with Africa, the people who messed us up are trying to tell us not to do business with Russia? Russia didn't take part in the Berlin Conference. They didn't. So if you're going to do business with anybody, you do business with the guys who haven't screwed you over historically. Because I'm looking at this Gabon thing and I'm like, yo, you know what? This is actually good news for Russia because Russia is looking at it and saying to themselves that, whoa, you know what? All the people that are enemies of Russia are losing all their influence in our new allies. Putin is going to be looking at this Gabon thing and going to be on the phone to the new Gabon people, like he went to see the Burkina Faso new guy, Captain Traore. Putin is going to be having meetings with these guys. Say, guys, I know what happened over there. Come over to St. Petersburg. Come and have some tea in St. Petersburg. Moscow. Let's have a chat. Let's have a chat, Gabon. All those oil that you've been dealing with, come and give us a little bit of that oil, Gabon. Niger, come and give us a little bit of that uranium. Let's chat. Gabon will now join BRICS, will be the next wave of BRICS joinees. Guys, you see, this is the thing. Let me tell you this. I'm going to tell you something real. It's not dark, but it's just real talk. It's real talk. I'm going to tell you some real talk now. The way that these colonialists controlled Africa was through manipulation and fear, intimidation, that sort of thing. That was the control means. And that is to say, pain and suffering is the punishment for standing up against us. You try to mess with us and mess with this unfair deal that we've imposed on you, and we will crush you economically. And while we are crushing you, none of your brothers and sisters around you will do a damn thing about it. That is the reason why the Alabama brawl was such a big deal for all Africans and black people in the whole world, because they said, we're not going to allow you to beat up on our brother and stand by watching you do it. You're going to have to take all of us out. That's what's happening in Africa now. All these coups, you see, typically what would happen is that if there's just one country doing a coup, France, whatever, the UN, G7, whatever, will just wave their wand and all the other African countries will lockstep and persecute that African country that's stepped out of line. Squeeze them so tight that they'll be forced to bend, which is what is happening to Niger. Because Niger are now being forced to come to the table because of the sanctions that other African countries in ECOWAS have imposed on them, which I'm very ashamed of. I'm ashamed that we've participated in that we've forced Niger into a position where they feel they even have to talk to us as Nigerians. Niger should not have to come and talk to Nigeria. Niger should decide if they want to talk to Nigeria. We don't own Niger. We don't own Mali. We don't own Burkina Faso. We should be able to respect these guys enough to be like, listen, guys, we'd love to talk to you. Can we talk? And they can make a decision if they want to talk. Because if the people of these countries were calling and crying out for us to come and help them, I would not be saying what I'm saying. Because I'd be like, listen, Nigeria, we need to go in and help our guys because they're suffering. When you've got people literally throwing stadium parties for the new coup government, they're throwing stadium parties. They're so happy. Who are we to tell them not to be happy? Especially when you look at the history. You can't fight everybody. That's the problem. Because if you've now got a situation for France where Mali, Guinea, Burkina Faso, Niger, now Gabon are all doing coups and thrown your influence, your leaders that you've been propping up out and put in their own guys, are you going to sanction all of them? And when you've sanctioned all of them, who's going to give you resources? You see what I'm saying? The jig is up now because you can't sanction everybody now. Typically, you just deal with one and everybody else would lockstep and help you destroy that country so you can now re-establish your influence and continue to draw resources from them at the price that you set. Now, unfortunately, you've got a domino effect where all of these countries are doing it at the same time and you don't know what to do. As people are busy partying and watching films and World Cup and all of this other stuff, the future of the West is hanging in the balance. I wouldn't even say it's hanging in the balance. It's crumbling. This is the most important thing going on in the world right now. This stuff. Because I was just on my YouTube page. And that's what I love about this. This is the reason why I'm excited about this, because it means that you don't even need to argue with trolls because you know that they don't know that they're finished. I had a guy on my YouTube page come on my page and this is what happens every day. So I get thousands of these messages every day, guys. Guys insulting Africa, being racist, insulting black people, insulting Nigeria, insulting and abusing Africa. And the reason why they're insulting and sending all these messages is because I've put out videos about the true name of Africa, true size of Africa, the origin of Nigeria, origin of Liberia, origin. Those are the videos that these guys are coming on to abuse Africans because they can't handle the fact that we've come to an era where you are not the center of our universe. Guys are actually talking amongst themselves to educate ourselves as to what is really going on. So with Gabon, you can't tell us that the Gabonese people are wrong. You can't tell us that we should condemn Gabon. Those days are finished. You're not going to just tell us. We're going to do our own investigation, and then we're going to come to a determination of how we feel about what's going on with Gabon. That's what's going to happen. And once you look into the books, like I've said, and you listen to what I just told you about Gabon, how can you begrudge a country of 2 million people, a major oil producer living in poverty, when the president is living in luxury and he's been there for 55 years between him and his father? They accused his father of embezzlement. It's an accusation, it's allegations. I cannot say I know for sure what did or didn't happen, but that was the accusation. Was it proven to be false? No. They said that he had a bunch of properties in Paris. What are you doing with mansions and properties in Paris when your people are struggling in Gabon? Why do you have those? It doesn't matter how you slice it. You're a president. You're supposed to be serving the people. Why do you have mansions in Paris? Why is it that even Ali Bongo has to now be making statements about returning his father's properties to the people? You shouldn't even be in that. That should have disqualified you from running for office, period. How do you have a situation where your father has been accused of that, then you allegedly go for a democratic election and you, surprise, you win it? Does anybody believe that? Seriously. That the son of a guy who is accused of that actually runs for office and wins a democratic election in the country when the country people are accusing your father of doing that? Come on, guys. Let's not play games here. Let's not play games. Good on Gabon, man. Sort out your own affairs. If you need us, call us. If you don't need us, we should not be involved. Because you look at the temperature of it and look at the people, they are happy. That's all that matters. The people are happy. If you are from Gabon and you're not happy with Ali Bongo leaving, message me. Leave your comments. If you're from Niger and you're not happy with the coup, leave your comment. If you're from Burkina Faso and you're not happy with Captain Traore, I wouldn't leave a comment because Captain Traore is going to come get you. If you are from Mali and you're unhappy with the situation there, message. If you're from Guinea and you're unhappy with the coup that went, message. Put that in the comments. Otherwise, nobody should be involved. Because I'm looking at this situation and I'm like, listen, guys, this is not the last. And there are a lot of African leaders right now who are not sleeping. They're not sleeping. They are they have insomnia. I'm telling you guys, these guys are going to the pharmacy and they're buying magnesium, milk of magnesia. They're buying chamomile tea, melatonin, serotonin, because they're not sleeping. Ashwagandha, because they're not sleeping. And that's in Africa. African leaders. As for France and America and England and all this, guys are looking at this and saying, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, what is happening? Because this is the French colonies. Do you really think that the former British colonies are not thinking about the same thing right now? England, anybody smart in the UK knows that, oh my goodness, this is a precedent we did not want to happen. Because what are we going to do if former English or British colonies start doing this? Because everybody's got their hands in the cookie jar. Everybody is siphoning resources off their former colonies, all of them. And the facade is falling. And do you know why the facade is falling? I'm going to tell you something crazy, guys, and this is just for real. I'm being real. This is true talk, guys. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, aka X, YouTube, and my mailing list, which you should be part of. You should be signed up to that. You can't control the narrative the way you used to be able to. And by controlling the narrative, you control the people. So if you lose control of the narrative, you lose control of the people. That is what is happening in Africa. Guys are putting out real information to people and saying that, guys, come and listen to us. We're going to let you know what is actually happening. It's a Pandora's box. You can't control it anymore. That's the problem. That's the reason why now it's now a wave. We saved Niger as an online community, as social media, saved Burkina Faso, saved Mali, saved Guinea, and are going to save Gabon. Seriously, this platform is like the protective force field around Africa now, because you can see the old playbook happening and it's not working. Haven't you noticed that as soon as any of these coups happen, you see the news and all the articles coming out trying to sway you about, oh, the unrest, the instability in Africa. This is not a good thing. The will of the people is being denied. You know, this is da-da-da-da-da. And people, we're literally, as Africans, just looking at that and laughing. Because as soon as you look at that headline, you just click on your phone and you can hear the real talk of what is actually really going on and the real temperature of the things. Guys can go into a stadium with their phone and show you the people of Niger. You don't have to rely on what the journalists are putting on the news. That, oh, we're embedded here, we're on the ground, and we're looking at it. No. That's your official camera view. We are looking at a guy who is actually from Gabon, living in Gabon, and is showing us his TikTok video. Say, all that one that you're seeing on CNN and BBC and all that sort of stuff, let me show you what's happening. Let me show you. And he puts on his camera. In fact, it can go live. He can go live. It doesn't even have to be recorded. It'll be live on edited footage, where you can be communicating with the reporter directly, saying that you'll be sending him hearts, giving him likes, gifts, as he's reporting for you directly from Niger, directly from Gabon. I'm sure there are Gabonese people right now who are streaming live. So you can't trick people anymore. It's over. So now we're going to have real conversations. We're going to have real conversations. France, Macron, you're going to have to tell us, what have you been doing for the last 55 years that these people have been messing up Gabon? You're going to have to answer those questions. What have you been doing? Answer us. Not us personally, but the Gabon people. Otherwise, step aside. Let us put somebody in office who is going to do what needs to be done. These are revolutions. Because when you look at the history of Africa, you can't look at it any other way. How else are Africans supposed to take back control of their futures and their autonomy if they don't do it this way? It's like you don't really have much choice. So you've got to look at it as a revolution. Because I call it a revolution because when you look at the reaction of the people of these countries when these guys do these things, you can't see it any other way. Typically a coup, the people are scared. They're too afraid to speak out. They would not have supported it if they weren't forced to, but they're intimidated. And that's a coup. The people didn't really want it to happen. They didn't really get a say. These things are revolutions. They're happening after the people have been crying out for change and they were felt powerless to make anything change. That's how you've got to see these things. And that is the reason why it is such a dangerous time for the Western powers now, because your main tool was always intimidation and fear and figuring out a way to put brother against brother. That was the tool. Once you lose that, you have nothing left. because you never had the resources to begin with. They had the resources, but you figured out a way to bamboozle them so much that they didn't realize that they had all the power. Now these guys are saying that, so listen, this is why I said that we're in shaky times. It's got to be scorched earth now. Like somebody was talking to me on my Instagram and I said, yeah, it's scorched earth because you don't really have anywhere else to go. You're going to have to just like blow up the whole world now, because you've got to make a decision. Are we going to let Africa have their own stuff back, or are we going to create a situation where nobody gets anything? And man, the way these guys have rolled for the last few hundreds of years, centuries, that latter of like, hey, we're not letting you have it, we're going to take out everybody, seems very likely. So everybody needs to be on their P's and Q's. And that is the reason why I said the stuff I'm talking about isn't just important for Africans and black people and people in the diaspora. It's important for any human being who cares about the future. Because the folks who are making these sort of decisions, it's not even just about skin color or Africa or whatever. This is about everything. And everybody's going to start feeling the pressure and feeling the pain when, not if, but when Africa really starts making inroads into taking control of its own destiny. All right, guys. Cheers, guys. Thank you for tuning in. And remember to like, share, subscribe, comment, give me your thoughts. I definitely like to hear your thoughts about this.